communication gaps and getting some credit card statements and deposits
Yeah,
at the bank and the
I already
holiday
fixed
on
that part.
Monday. We
I've
had
got
lots of
that.
things.
I told them it was my fault because
Oh, okay.
I'm a slowpoke Maroke when it comes to doing that. So I've already
Um,
fallen on that sword.
this there are a lot of things missing actually in this. The city has not billed us for payroll. Actually, I got the November and the December one on December the 29th. So the check did not get cut until after the first of the year. So it'll be on the January statement. And they have only this and what sponsorships did or didn't do and how it affected it. And I just stuck it all in here. I'm open to questions. I hope everybody can understand. Obviously these events are costing us more than we're bringing in, and I don't think this will be
here and there, but overall, it gives me a starting point to say, okay, Mr. or Miss or business one or two, we'd love to have you participate with us. Here's the traffic we've had in tourism, blah, blah, blah. And we'd love for you to own this. We've already got a couple already that are very interested in the concerts. Again, I don't think we're really in the business of making money. We just don't want to lose money.
Yeah.
And these are events that I think work well in our park that has, again, limited resources, but it's perfect. I mean, I think we could actually grow it a little bit and still be okay and work within our means. And it's, I think we can continue to just find sponsorships in both of our knack snacks, and because really a lot of it is tied to live music. And I think that's something that we want to continue to build on as a community, because music brings people together, and food. And I think we've got great resources there, and then we've also developed those relationships. And again, the fact that we are down a little bit is expected, especially creating something from no budget.
And in the pipeline, I'll be presenting at City Council on the 1st, our end of the year report for last year. And at some point in the future, it may or may not be on that February the 1st meeting, but definitely sometime in February, per Mario's request, we'll be doing an special events workshop with City Council, where we provide them with this information. It's kind of like double Dutch jump rope. You kind of have to just jump in at some point and just stay moving and ahead of it. But eventually, what will have to happen is, if this is still the direction that the city wants for us to go into putting on events instead of promoting events, then we're going to have to look for all sources of funding for that. Sponsorships, yes, but are there places within the city's existing budget, where we could, claw back and get some support from the city, some buy-in from the city as well, on top of what they're already giving in terms of labor and services and whatnot. So it really is just educating everybody, making sure we're on the same page and that we're pointed in the same direction, and figuring out how best we can all go forward. Because again, we say it all the time, but the event goer has no idea who is behind the event that they're at, and nor should they. And if we're doing our jobs really well, then they absolutely have no idea, or they have no idea. It just seems like it just happens organically and naturally, and that's what we want. Um, but we absolutely 100% want people to walk away from this with a good feeling about Nacogdoches.
Real quick, how far off are we financially on these?
About 11,000.
A lot of stuff in front of me, but just ballpark per average per event.
Well, in total, it's just under 12,000 for all the events that we did this last year.
But
And
it's more than 12 months worth, Damon.
Okay.
And the movie nights had a sponsor. So, that one came out ahead. All of the concerts did not have sponsors. So they were behind by about an average $4,000 or $5,000.
Okay.
Other ones were all, somewhere in there. But the total is, we're out about $12,000. But that's more than 12 months. That's really
like 16.
like 16. Yeah.
And I have no problem with, if that's the direction that the city wants us to go with, with investing in events. I just want to, I didn't know if we could look at them sort of as a whole, and what it sounds like is we really need to look at them one by one, and like events to like events at like times. And as I said, I'm really proud of the stuff the CVB has done during the last 16 months. And I know, because I hear it on the street, that people are having fun at these events. And that's like you said, that's the experience we want them to have. We just don't want it to become a budget issue. I don't mind investing in it at all, but it just has to be a planned investment.
And there's consideration given to getting sponsors for the other events.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got our Knack Snacks, which we're now, charging not a whole lot, but just a few dollars to offset our talent. We don't pay a tremendous amount for the bands, but being someone that used to rep musicians, I'm not asking anybody to do anything for free. That's ridiculous. But they're offset by the food trucks. We'll probably charge a little when we're at the concerts. We already had potential sponsors at the concerts, so they know they got to pay this year. And then it's just a matter of presenting for some other sponsors. It's not going to be a ton of money, especially if we get 4 or 5 of them. And they all know the value, and they've all been to them, including Knack Snack. Anything we do, we'll have a sponsor. We just need really a starting point. And the fact that we've been successful at it, you guys, makes going after the money a whole lot easier.
Anything we can do to help you with that?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely hit you up for that.
No, yeah, I think the fact that this majority of all those events, if not all of them, were super successful. I think, like you said, going after sponsors is going to be so much easier, since they can see the benefit of sponsoring. So, agreed.
Also, right now, I'm running all of this, or a majority of it, through our unrestricted funds account. We have 2 bank accounts. One's restricted funds, one's the unrestricted. And this is all going through the unrestricted, and it might be that we can use more of the hot tax. I don't know. I'm not sure this qualifies. How we determine how many out of town people come in is really the hotel and possible hotel rooms is how we um, gauge that, and we may need to get advice from other people about how to do that. Right now, it's all circulating in the unrestricted funds.
Thank you. That answers my question on that. And I think that the way I understand the restricted funds, if we decided to do that, the things that I've heard about that people have done to put heads in beds have stretched it a little bit farther than something obvious like this that is that's designed to bring people into Nacogdoches. And I'm comfortable with I'm comfortable with what it costs, and I think there's everybody who said that we sort of seeded the field a little bit, and people know, they're like, oh, well, if I sponsor this, I know that 300 people or 500 people or 150 people, depending on the event, are going to see going to be exposed to my presence, and they'll value it as such. So I think that by accidentally, kind of the city wanting us to do this, and y'all pulling it off so well, that we've created a new sales opportunity to keep this kind of thing going. So,
Well, and Joanna and Ashley are good about finding something for the Friday night. If we have a Saturday concert, Saturday event, having something for Friday night too, that makes it more palatable to sponsors to say, hey, or the hotels for that matter, we're trying to do two things and making people spend the night.
Mhm.
But if we get just Nacogdoches residents, then I'm not sure we can justify that. So
Well, we do have, I don't mean to jump in, we do have the breakdown of where people come from. And curious enough, always is Houston and Dallas is just 2 or 3 people behind Lufkin. So we're doing it on the concerts. I can show it to you. It's based on the purchase tickets, which we like. I mean, we have obviously several people from the city coming because we offer tickets to our city employees, and we want to. They've been a great resource to us in helping in putting these things together. And it's just a nice reward to have them be able to come and invite their family. And then again, you invite someone and so on and so on. They all bring their family and friends, and that's how you create a desire for folks that are visiting. And if they're family and friends, we'll take them. So, but you can tell on the concerts, we are already part of the reason for getting the bands that I got were out of the Houston market, and they have their own following. And so that helps a lot.
All right. Well, I think it's admirable, especially when we look at the efforts have been admirable for you guys, especially when we look at our comparable CVBs who have just recently gone away from the event management planning side and moved back to promotion. So, we're stepping back in, like you say, to waters that were pretty uncharted last year to see what we could make happen during what y'all could make happen during the pandemic. So I applaud you because you did it with a leap of faith, and you did it. And so I think it's going to come together. I really do. I agree with you, Joanna. Sponsors.
Uh-oh.
we lost you.
You froze, Cheryl.
And it's going to be an easier sell.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, you froze there for a second.
Sorry. And we don't have to approve them, I think. Is that right, Cheryl? So we can.
I don't know.
Yeah. So we don't have. So any other questions before we move on?
Do y'all have any questions? That's the main reason I'm here. So you have any questions about the financial statement or the events that I can answer? And you're welcome to email me and ask me later if you come up with something.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Cheryl. We're going to table board agenda item number 4. The presenter had something after school that was unplanned. So that's what happens when you're dealing with a middle school presenting to a board. I'm not a middle school, a high schooler presenting to the board. So we're going to move into our agenda item number 5 and hear a presentation on Rentalscape and what that looks like.
Yeah, I took a cold call from Dustin Rylick with Rentalscape, and he walked me through what their company offers, and he offered generously to speak to you guys too. So we all know that um, we operate off of 72.5% of remitted hotel occupancy tax from our lodging partners that fall inside of the city limits. However, ever since I got here in 2017 and started measuring our short-term rentals, we have never been at 100% compliance for our Airbnbs and VRBO listings. So we've always known that there's been money left on the table and that the playing field in lodging has been inequitable. We've never for a second thought that this was nefarious. It's just you don't know what you don't know. And the way that these platforms are set up, just in the time that we're having this meeting, 5 more properties could be listed. And if they don't know that they need to register with the city, they don't. So I took Dustin up on his offer, and he's here today to take you through everything. And this will be an actionable item. So after some discussion, I hope that we can reach an agreement in how the board would like us to proceed. So I'll turn it over to you, Dustin.
Thank you, Sherry, and board members. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share with you. So Sherry and I had a discussion before the holidays and a nice demo of our system. I'm going to kind of jump right into it just because for time's sake, I'm not going to spend the kind of time that I spent going through the entire presentation with her. But just a quick background on our company. Our entire company is all data scientists, data engineers that came from Qualcomm. So they actually were the ones that tracked what's in our cell phones worldwide. Why I say that is it's very important when you're talking data science to be able to download things, store things economically. And towards the end of their careers, before they were, I guess I would say, poached over to Deckard Technologies, they were actually bringing down about 5 petabytes per self-driving car on a daily basis. So if anyone knows data and how much 5 petabytes is per car, it's a lot. And they would take and machine learn that and send it out in a self-driving car again so that they could actually learn from the habits of the previous day. So I'm going to go in and share my entire screen here real quick, hopefully. I haven't used Google Meet, so I apologize if my screen's not up yet. Are you seeing my screen yet?
No.
Okay. Let's see here. I apologize. Let's see here.
Do you have access to the little box with the arrow for present now?
Let's try
There you
this.
go. There you go.
Do you have a map of your community up now?
Yes.
Ah, excellent. Very good. So this is what we call Rentalscape. And what we've done is we've gone in and we actually will data mine the site. And at this point in time, there's 105 listings that we've seen on the short-term rental platforms. And when I say short-term rental platforms, I mean Airbnb, Vrbo, Flipkey, Booking. Those are the 4 big ones that are out there. But as you can see, locally in your jurisdiction, there's 81 Airbnb and 23 Vrbo listings. There's only 1 of Flipkey and nothing came up for Booking. But a lot of these are duplicative, and don't get scared. You don't actually have 105 short-term rentals. I haven't put on any of our actual filters, and we can filter by a lot of different things. I won't go into too much of that right now because what really matters today is short-term rentals that have been over the course of the last year, which is somewhere around 73 properties that we will see overall. And with that being said, we actually have every single one of the property listings that will come up. And as you can see, there's 73 listings, but some are duplicative. We haven't actually done the work to go in and actually find every single property, identify it, and so forth yet. But what you'll see is this is a VRBO or Vrbo ad, and this is an Airbnb ad. they're exactly the same. So when we actually identify it and put live eyes on every one of these properties, what you'll end up seeing is you'll end up seeing a property card that shows all of the listings all together. And I'll show you a quick example of that in another jurisdiction in just a moment. But I want to be able to kind of show you how these dots show up on the map. I only turned on our machine learning so that we could actually show you a couple of identified properties where the actual address was in the ad. But when we actually start doing the work, we have all kinds of tools that will actually help our data analysts to go in and pinpoint where the property is. And then we also tie it back to the assessment district's information as well, so we know where they get their property tax bill in case you need to send out a notice to them or let them know about the hot tax or anything of that nature, working back and forth with the city. And so as we kind of zoom in on the area, what you'll see is that each of these different dots are represented, and they'll be right on top of a parcel once we have actually identified it. We also have the ability to help out by showing an overhead map. Now, each of these dots right now, I want you to know, are not where the property is today, presently, because this is where Airbnb drops the dots so that you can't find where the property is. And that's kind of a challenge. So that's why you need data science and data engineers that will actually help to pinpoint those properties for you so that you know where that address is. Now, with that being said, we have the ability to go in and search any property. So I'm going to just put in 205. Oh, we do have a 205. Look at that. 205 Houston. And a property card comes up on that property in particular. So we can actually see all of the photos of the inside of the property, well, everything that they've posted. And here's the key. Here's the address of the property. We have a copy of the live listing. So if we click on that, it goes directly into the actual VRBO ad so that you can see what's going on. We have what the ad value is, how much they're listing the property for, who is the host of that property, how many bedrooms it is, occupancy levels that they're advertising, things of that nature. And then we have a little map of approximately where that property is, the parcel number with the county. And right now, since we haven't done the work, we don't have the bedroom, bathroom count and the owner's address that's on the property tax bill, but that will show up in the future. The most important thing is we actually data mine every single day for new bookings. And this is what was really important when Sherry and I were discussing this. We can actually see into the future. So we actually see that on January 9th of 2022, a booking happened for March 15th and 16th, and the list rate at the time of booking was $185 per night. And of course, they don't have much other activity in 2022 yet. But in December, we can see that there was a lot of weekend activity. And November, there was a lot of activity. Not so much previous to that, but you can see it sporadically throughout the year. And one of the other key things is that we go back in time and we go forward in time. So from a hot tax collection perspective, you'll be able to make sure that you are collecting as much of that as possible. Remember, this is one property card, and we go ahead and we put in exactly what we believe that estimated dollar value that was collected by the property owner in that month. So in December of 2021, this property made about $1,800. And then it was about $2,400 in November. And in October, it was $480. Every single one of these data points are all completely downloadable as well. And we also can go back and forth with what we estimate the property made and then the actual that the city actually was able to pull in the way of revenue. So this is just one property card. I am going to do a quick disclosure to be able to show you how it populates. This is the city of La Quinta, California. It's a very resort-driven area. And the reason I wanted to show you this is we even created more filters for them where every homeowners association can be pointed out and it turns orange. So when you click on it, So say, for instance, you wanted to see what's in PGA West, which is a development that actually has a Jack Nicklaus golf course. You could actually see exactly where every single one of those properties is within their jurisdiction. So we've actually pinpointed that. And then, of course, like I was showing you on yours, you can look at the map, see exactly where the properties are. You can zoom right in to see, exactly what's going on with that particular home. Now, with that being said, I just want to click on a property, and hopefully this one has a different address than it does as the actual address. But this is 55780 Pebble Beach in La Quinta. And as we come down here to the very bottom, what you can see is it's an investment company that owns the property. It's a 5-bedroom, 7-bath property, and they live in Connecticut. I know that's not capitalized, I apologize, but they live in Connecticut, which is quite crazy because if you wanted to send something to them, you want to make sure you can send it to wherever they're getting their property tax bill. So this is a perfect example of that scenario. We also collect historical data. So we have the ability to look at historical ads that have happened, all of the December ads that we've seen over time, November, October, so forth, so that if someone says, I've actually never rented out my property, you can say, well, actually you have. Here's some of the data points that we have, and that would be from the city. Realizing, I'm going to go back to your jurisdiction, that overall, our goal is to be able to see what's going on a grander scale. And this here is the number that Sherry and I kind of zoned in on, and that's $479,977. And that number has, like Sherry said, changed since the last time we spoke. When I did this little proposal, there was on average about $447,000 worth of revenue. So there's been some more things that have popped in as of recently for January, accounting for that. And we track by who the most active hosts are, most active owners. But what I see here is let's just go off of the previous number of $447,000 at a 7% hot tax. That's about $31,000 worth of revenue to the jurisdiction. And at your 72.5%, let's call it north of $20,000 annually that you should be getting in the way of hot tax that can help to offset some of the other expenses that are associated with the tourism board. We also have the ability to go in. Of course, I only have a couple of identified properties, as I said, but we will put in the address, the parcel number, a PDF of the ad. If you have homeowners associations and you want to see what the density of short-term rentals are in certain neighborhoods, we could just take a GIS shapefile, download it, and put it in, and then you would be able to see exactly what's going on there, who the owner is, whether it's owner occupied, what is the owner's mailing address, who is the host on file. So if we wanted to sort by a certain host, we could go through and just say, I just want to see properties that are by Jennifer, right? Or whoever the person may be. We can go in and take a look at that. And of course, there's a lot of other things that we can sort by, but those aren't truly important at this point in time. What we're really looking at is that overall tax dollar, making sure that we're identifying all of the properties so that then we have the ability to go in and know exactly where the short-term rentals are. And our service is an annualized service. So what we do is we actually have a account representative and a data analyst that's assigned to your jurisdiction, and they go in every couple of weeks and update new files and find more properties for you as they come up so that you make sure that you're getting all of the proper taxation on each one of those different properties. So with that, are there any questions while I'm still on the map? Because I want to make sure I answer any questions that you might have and see if there's anything I missed, Sherry.
I have a question. I'm not sure who this is for. It could be for you, Dustin, or Sherry, maybe. But would this be, who would bill these people? Like, would the bill come from the city, or how exactly would that work?
Yeah, it would give us a contact with, that we would be able to send out a letter that says, we see that you have active listings. Here is the appropriate registration process. Contact, whoever in the city's finance office to get your property registered, X, Y, or Z. And then at that point, the finance office would take over bringing them and pulling them online.
How many properties are we aware of right now, and how much are they generating? How much are we collecting ish?
Go ahead. I believe there's about 75 properties that we have pinpointed out of the 104 listings overall. I'm scrolling through the little presentation because I did want to show the type of letter that we actually have in our little proposal that I had sent out. And this letter is something that had been used at Placer County, California, which is where Lake Tahoe is. And we have many examples of letters, but I just wanted to kind of point out to you that you make it really gentle out to the constituent, letting them know you have a property, here's a copy of your ad, we have taxation that's due, and things of that nature. So it would be between the city. I don't know if Sherry has information on how many they're actually collecting on right now for you.
I don't, but it's not that many, I can tell you that.
So Dustin, are the 75 in the city limits? Are those the ones we would actually get to?
Yeah, that was a great question that Sherry had as well. All of our data is based on US Census data. So when you saw the shape file, it is based on US Census data that is your shape file with all of the intricacies of your city. And of course, everything is within the city limits. So, and we actually pinpoint everything when we actually put it onto the parcel so that you know that it's a parcel within your community.
That's great. You know, the other benefit for this, because we've talked about it from the sales side of it, and for groups that are looking for alternative places other than the Fredonia, what a great way for us to, in addition to say, hey, we want your tax dollars, but we want to promote you as well. And that's what Fredericksburg does such a great job in. It's not, Airbnb was set up initially for having that anonymity and protecting the homeowner, and we get that. But as the visitor center, we have no way of contacting these people in assisting in the process and letting groups know about them. I mean, unless they're doing the onesie twosie and having to go on the Airbnb and VRBO like I have, you can't get the real person.
Another benefit of this, it provides us with analytics that are similar to those that we get from the Smith Travel Research Report for our other lodging properties, so that we can compare apples to apples. We can look at RevPAR and ADR and occupancy and see where we're hitting. And what we know from all of this, these short-term rentals are not going anywhere. This is where we are at this point in the lodging landscape. This is how people travel now. And so we are charged with finding a way to level the playing field so that everybody is paying their fair share. But then also that we can market, in a very robust way, and market all of our different lodging assets. If somebody wants a house, if somebody wants a cabin, if somebody wants a traditional hotel, or a B&B, it just provides us with information in a better way. And I was shocked to find the cost in all of this, and I'll let Dustin reveal the cost to you.
Yeah, so Sherry said that I could present to you that $100,000 would be within the budget, no problem. I'm kind of a joker. Sorry. In the presentation, I put forward our base price is $3,000 annually to have complete access to this, and anyone that's with the city or with the tourism board with Visit Nacogdoches would have the ability to go in and have access to it. So whoever you want to have access could have access to the system to go in. Now, Joanna, you had a really good point. And we had a Northern California county called Del Norte County that they love tourism. And so they really wanted to promote tourism. and they only have one hotel that was in the jurisdiction at that point in time. And they wanted to bring in big groups, and they wanted to see where every property was, because they could say, hey, we could bring in a group of like 3 different families, 5 different families, 10 different families, and have them all within a couple of blocks of one another by promoting those properties. In addition to some of the things that Sherry pointed out, that could be ideal. And like Sherry said, this is going nowhere. Year over year has been about 15+% nationwide in the way of Airbnbs and Verbo, and it just got exacerbated by COVID, because people don't want to stay in hotels and they want to keep their family together. I mean, I'm a family of 4, and let me tell you, it's a lot easier to go to an Airbnb than it is to get 2 hotel rooms, and then, you know, a king size bed for my wife and I, and then my children to have separate beds, and not hear them beat each other, you know, as 15 and 17-year-olds. So, sorry, this is probably public. I shouldn't say that. But overall, you know, I mean, overall, we're here to help in any way that we can. We work with huge jurisdictions with large contracts where we're doing thousands upon thousands of short-term rentals, and then we work with smaller jurisdictions that like yourselves, that just really want to create more tourism.
And one of the great things, you know, we are fortunate that we are able to contract with a lot of different third-party services that help us do the job that we do here. But take, for example, our contract with Meltwater. With Meltwater, we are limited to the number of buckets of searches that we have within that contract. And also the number of seats that we have, logins that we can have. And one of the things that I discussed with Dustin was just that. And the beauty of this, it's kind of unreal, is that we can give Pam Kerbo over in the finance office, she can have a login so that she can have access to this, and, you know, we can have access to it as well. So there's a, you know, that ability to be the boss of our logins and not be limited in that. And for reference, our annual cost for our subscription to Smith Travel Research is $2,000. So this is pretty much on par with what we are spending to receive information about our traditional lodging partners in terms of occupancy, average daily rate, and revenue per available room. So are there any more questions for Dustin? And we'll let him go and we can discuss further in his absence. But if there's anything else that you would need to know from him, let's go ahead and get that out. Okay, well, Dustin, thank you so much for your time, and you will be hearing from me one way or the other.
You got it. Thank you so much, all, and have a great day.
Thanks.
All right, that was a great presentation. I see some educational crossover too, Sherry, because the SFA hospitality students use the STR, but being able to look at some maybe past reports in this would be really helpful to our lodging students, because and meeting planning students too, because this is really where lodging is going. So what kind of action do you need from us, if any, to keep exploring this, or what's our next step?
That's really up to you. I mean, at this point, if the board could advise us to move forward in securing this contract, and we would be up and going inside of a month. I think he said 3 to 4 weeks. And I mean, from what we've seen, it looks like it's going to pay for itself, but we certainly have money in the budget to front that cost, go ahead and pay the $3,000. Further on down the line, when it comes time to renegotiate our contracts with the city, you know, maybe then we can look into splitting the cost of it, or, you know, what have you, whatever. But at this point, I think it's a win-win for the city thing. And because we are still separate, we have sort of the leniency that we can enter into this contract.
I just did the quick math on it. Let's say that there are 70 properties out there, and let's lowball it because we don't know if some of these are active. So if they averaged $100 a month, and I thought, is Hot Tech 6%? I thought it was 6, not 7. It's 7.
State is 7, local is 6.
Oh, okay.
And then we get 72.5% of that.
Okay. And it's $3,000 a year.
Yeah.
We should break even even if those properties only get $100 a month, $1,200 a year. So I don't have a problem with that type. Are there any handcuffs to this contract? Is it a 1-year contract?
Yeah, 1 year, and
Okay.
that's their base price.
$3,000 one shot, and we see if it's worth it. 12 months from now, we'll know it's worth it, or we'll know it isn't.
That's
Do
right.
we need, just a question, do we need to talk to Pam and make sure she is able to do the invoicing and stuff like that? They're not used to doing that right now. And
Well, she's doing it for a couple of the properties. I think her main thing is we just don't know who to send those invoices to.
right. Okay.
But I mean, aside from that, and I've in the last year, I've had a conversation with her where that's
Okay.
exactly what she wants is if she has a name and a good mailing address, then that's really all that we're missing. We just don't
Okay.
have the bodies to hunt down this information. And so
That's
now
fine.
we have, this company that can give us that along with analytics.
All of
And
that sounds good. I
I
want
love
to
that we can-
surprise the city with something, make sure that they are able to do it.
surprise them with a big old money tree.
Money. Hopefully, that'd be nice.
But yeah, that was an overwhelming figure of when I saw it, it was $447,000 in revenue from short-term rentals. And so our part of that's a lot of sandwiches. That's a lot. And again, it levels the playing field and it educates our public and it allows us to do, for us to be able to go in and see future bookings for these properties. That's huge. That's not information that any of our hotel partners share with us, but for us to have that, I mean, that in and of itself to me is worth it. But really, it's up to the board. If this is something that you agree is important and that you feel comfortable with our fiscal health at this point, that we could pursue it, then we're just looking for your direction. I guess another opportunity, we could wait and hold off until the start of the new fiscal year, just so we have a clean delineation. Speaking for staff, I don't see that as being a valid argument. I just think we'd still be leaving money on the table.
Any discussion? Personally, I'm ready to move forward in giving a blessing to go out and pursue this because I think this is every CVB in the state is looking at this question right now, and they know that they're leaving, that there's hot tax that they're just not collecting, and this seems like this company has found a brilliant way to figure all that out. So,
Do you need a motion from us?
Yes.
I would make that motion.
a second. Okay, thank you, Larry. Do I have a second?
Oh, sorry, second. I thought someone already said it.
Thanks, Alex. We have
Yeah,
a
no
motion made by Larry and seconded by Alex to have the CVB reach out and pursue the contract with Rentalscape. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Make it thumbs up. Okay. Opposed, same sign. All right, that motion passes. Thank you very much, Sherry, for finding Dustin and bringing that to our attention.
I wish
And
I could take credit for it. He found me. Kind of like I listened to all these cold calls. It's like when I was a kid, I'd look through the Sears wish book and find everything that I wanted for Christmas. That's what I look at cold calls as. So, well, very good. Thank you. Thank you for that direction.
Okay, my dog's about to go crazy, so we're going to hear your web RFP next.
Okay. So in your board packet is a copy of our request for proposal that we'll be sending out. Our contract with SimpleView comes up in this summer. And I worked with them to go to a month-to-month contract. Our back end business side of it expired in November, but we've been on a month-to-month, and we'll be able to month-to-month until the end of the CMS, the front side of the website, if that makes any sense. So it is, SimpleView is a great product. They are a great company. They are the gold standard in tourism for websites. This was a contract entered into many, many Sherry's ago, and it was never sustainable. When they initially got it, the city went in over half, and I think horrible things happened to finding that money. And it has, in my opinion, and again, I know 5 things, but in my opinion, it has always it's like giving a Ferrari to a 16-year-old. It's just, it has a lot of power and everything, but we have never fully utilized or been able to fully utilize every asset that we've paid for. So it is time now to send out a request for proposal to see if we can find something that fits us better. So it's not that SimpleView is bad. It's not. And if we had all the money in the world, I wouldn't move. But we don't, and we need to be able to maximize every dollar that we spend. That crawls all over me, when food in the refrigerator spoils. I want to be able to use everything that we have to its fullest extent. Primarily what this proposal asks for is a company that can give us what we have, our forward-facing, visually attractive, aesthetically pleasing end user website, but a back end that allows us to do ticketing and bundles of events. So that's the biggest thing. We don't really need direction from board. This is something that we would do anyway, just in the natural occurrence of a contract of this magnitude coming up to sign again. But just sort of the more you know, that this is going to be circulating January the 24th. We're looking for proposal submission February the 28th, and I hope by the end of March to know what we're going to be doing. So this will go out to if I had my wish, but again, we're going to go out to bid and we're going to read everything. We'll be sending it out to SimpleView. They'll have a chance to respond. And they did respond the last time this contract came up, and I poor mouthed and was able to negotiate quite the savings. I don't know that they're willing to go any lower than what they already have done for us. The other company is out of Austin and Seattle, and it's called Sapphire. And they are sort of the industry standard in more festival and events and rodeos type of thing. I worked with them in Conroe. I oversaw the transition into Sapphire there. So I've worked with them before. And then Tempest will be the other company that we send out. And anybody else that hears about it and wants to, it will be in circulation through Valentine's Day. So we're not limiting the number, but we are sticking to sort of that standard. We want to have at least 3 so that we can, sort of see what it is that we're looking for. But the biggest difference is right now what we have is a front end, a really strong front end and a really strong back end. That back end is what our merchants are not interested in keeping up with everything that offers. It's just sitting there not being utilized. So we'd love to replace that that piece of it with this ticketing and bundling option, we feel like we'd get more usage out of that. It would back us out of Eventbrite fees, having to utilize third parties, things of that nature. So it's for where we are right now in our scope of work, I think this is a better suited look for or functionality for our website. I'm happy to answer any questions as we move forward sending this out.
Any questions?
Sounds good to me.
All
Yep.
right. I'll keep
Thanks,
you
Sherry.
posted.
All right.
Shay, I have a quick question. I'm sorry, I cut out for a couple minutes when I moved to my car. Did we vote on the
We did.
VRBO guy?
Yes,
And
we're gonna
did
be.
it pass?
It did.
Good. Well, that's how I would have voted. Thank you.
I
I'm
figured
sorry.
you weren't going to come here to tell us that you're registering in negative there. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right. I think hearing no questions, we're ready to move on to receiving your year-end report.
Yep. So this is the end of the year report that will go before council. Mr. Bolden will get a little sneak preview of it. This is a different look for us in delivering. I think before I provided too much information, and so the important information sort of got lost. So this is what I came up with for this year. There's our pretty pictures. I found pictures of you from the internet. Used the
I
suitable.
just asked, man. I could have gave you an updated one. Jeez.
So-
am I the only one that's not seeing it?
Oh, because I'm not sharing it. It's on my screen on my computer.
I just really want to know what picture of me you use.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. I want to do that one and share.
Pulled
it.
an old LinkedIn picture. I was like, Sherry, good Lord.
Oh no.
It's okay.
Where did it go? Oh, it's hidden now. Where is it? There it is.
Now, did you send this to us, Sherry?
I don't know that I sent it to you.
Yep.
Send it to the board.
Yeah, I was like, it's the very end of our board packet. Yeah.
I got it.
Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Just not the beginning part.
Okay.
There you go.
There we are. Visit Nacogdoches staff. Amy Mahaffey took this new staff picture for us. And then our beautiful board. And we're starting off with our goals checklist. So first goal we had was to increase hotel occupancy. Our target was to increase by 50%. We exceeded that and finished the year with average hotel occupancy of 51.6%. The second goal was to increase our social media following. Now, this is a collective, so this is all of our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our target was to 25K. We were very close at 19.9K, so I'm not mad about that, but technically fell short of a goal, but we are never stop. We're always going to be chasing that one, so that's still a very good standing. Increase our website visits. We were shooting for 300,000, came in at 373,861. We wanted to increase the Visit NAC app usage. We were just looking to increase by half, and we increased by 114%. Our fifth goal was to increase our number of volunteers. Our volunteers traditionally are of a more advanced age, and we're looking to sort of build up a stable of more volunteers that can fall in. So we had wanted to be at a total count of 50. Still, we're at 30, even though we did add significantly more. We just lost as many as we added. We're at 30, so that one we fell short in. Increased visitor center foot traffic. We shot for 6,000. We came in at 8.6. Increased requests for information from our website or from Texas Highways. Our target was 1,000, got really close again at 988. increase and encourage travel reviews. This is something that's part of our contract with the city. So if this is something that moving forward that we should take off of our plate, then we should probably have a future discussion about if this is really a metric of our success. Our contract states that we should have about an increase of 25% of reviews on TripAdvisor and other such sites, and we only had 5. In my opinion, that's not how people are communicating. They're not living and dying by TripAdvisor reviews, but I could be wrong. I don't know why there's a $sign on that one. I'll need to fix that. Increase number and frequency of music and cultural events. Yeah, that's a bad slide. I apologize. We surpassed that 25%, an increase of 25%. I couldn't tell you right now where it is, but I'll find out. And then increase our total digital impressions. Our target was 500,000. We came in at 1.86 million. So we spanked that goal. We really overdid ourselves on that. Our main activities this year, we marketed through shutdowns due to COVID. We broadened the scope of our work to include special events, permitting for the city. We attended the Texas Association of CVB's annual conference in Conroe, and we came back with 3 awards, and we voted in a new slate of board officers and filled 2 board vacancies. Then a key events timeline. October 1 was the start of the new fiscal year. We launched community-focused initiatives to address cabin fever. In December, that was when we sort of the end of November, December, started with the Knack at Night drive-in movies at the airport. We saw March, we accounted for the damage due to the historic winter storms to Azalea Trail season. That still worked out for us. We didn't have a great Azalea Trail season, but Mother Nature was kind to us and we were able to recoup with other blooms and blossoms. In April was when we officially went before City Council and took on special events permitting for the city of Nacogdoches. In May was when we launched the Full Moon Summer Concert Series with the first concert. In June was the return of the Blueberry Festival. July was when our board vacancies were filled. In August was when we attended TACVB. And then right at the end of the year, our new slate of officers for the board were elected. We published our Love Letters to NAC book, and we hosted a regional collaboration summit at direction from the mayor and the city manager we hosted our Lufkin counterparts to see if there were different points of collaboration across the Angelina River, and it was called Reach Across the River. So that was how we ended our year in our timeline. Our highlights, we saw a total tourism recovery according to Smith Travel Research of 23%. That was coming up from a deficit of 23%. So we recovered very nicely in all of this. Of merit is the collaboration. Again, this has been leadership in both Lufkin and Nacogdoches are wanting to present a more unified front for this region. And so we're very proud that we were able to open up our doors and welcome in our Lufkin counterparts. And that is something that is continuing into this year as well. Just last week, I met with Tara Hendricks, who is the new director for tourism and marketing over there in Lufkin. And just today, Ashley and Joanna sat through a sales call with Band Wango to see if we can get some digital passports going and share the cost with Lufkin. Between those, music and film, we had multiple Texas music friendly events and 1 successful film friendly site selection. You may or may not have, yeah, that was all good. And then Story Keepers, we published 2 books, which is something book publishing telling stories, keeping the stories of Nacogdoches. That's something that I've been wanting to do, and I was happy that we were able to work on those and have 2 successful ones, to our credit. Budget overview. We've talked about this before, but you can see our bottom line, total income and reserves came in very robustly at 155.3%. Our expenses also came in robustly at over 113.1%. In our defense, we were budgeting against unknown odds, and so I'm very proud of how we fared out of all of this. I think you have a team here that excels at making a lot, making a big bang for a little buck, and that is very much a group effort and one that I think we excel at. Special events breakdown. Again, we only took this on in April, but still we were able to secure 14 medium-sized events, 6 large-scale events, and the majority of events that took place and that were permitted through us fell under that last category, and that was at 58. So again, we're establishing benchmarks now in special events, and we will be having a special workshop session with City Council where we take each of these events in the different categories and pair them up with their estimated economic impact, and just do a deeper dive into that. But this was just sort of a superficial, off the top event check-in. And these are our print insertions and messaging. Again, we are so fortunate and blessed to partner with Hancock Agency. They allow us to deliver a classic, clean, concise messaging that is right on par with our brand identity. And Chris specifically is just, you can't ask for a bigger hoss. Like, he is just so great to work with. His whole team over there understands what we're doing and the importance of what it is that we're doing. He's an active volunteer over here with his daughter Allison, and you know, that means a lot, and it shows. I think that mutual respect between Hancock Agency and Visit Nacogdoches, I think it's evident in the product that we're able to produce together. So thank you to Chris. And that is it.
Where'd Shay go?
I don't know. Any questions though about the annual report?
Sarah, are you going to identify?
Thank you, Sherry. It looks really good.
Yeah, the difference between what 500 plus equals a large event. You know, give them the.
Yeah, I'll add that too, and I need to correct that one mistake.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, that's my stab at it.
Looks good.
So that's that. I guess we'll go into staff reports. And so I've given mine. Joanna, you can give your brief report.
Okay, I'll be brief. We have worked out, we kick off our next snack in February. So as to date, we have February, March, April food booked, which is, you know, very important. We have updated our food truck list to get as many new as well as refresh on the old as possible. I should have the confirmed bands for those 3 months as well, so Ashley can use that for promoting and marketing. Don't be looking at me like that. And we have also got the Memorial Day full moon concert pretty well pegged. We have 2 bands on Saturday, 2 bands on Sunday. We'll probably have a small Memorial Day recognition for the weekend. we did something last year, and even though it was small, I think it was mighty and it was effective. And we have to remember why we not only are having a 3-day weekend, but what occurred for us to celebrate that or to acknowledge. So I'm really excited about that. We're probably going to do a couple other things around full moon in the summer, but just branded a little differently, different look. We've got bands coming out of the woodworks. Super excited to try to put them into a variety of different arenas. So it's looking good. I can talk to the cows come home, but we're excited to have food, drink, and obviously sponsorships around that. I do have, obviously, you guys, I want you to know I've got some folks that are even asking about it. So I will take money. Larry, if you got anyone and want to send my way, or I can take your money. Either way, we are happy to play and happy to, have anyone participate with us. Any questions?
Thank you, Joanna.
You're welcome.
Ashley, staff report.
Hello. I'm going to try to keep it really brief as well. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was we had a group, or it was a family of travel bloggers that visited last month. It was a very sweet deal for us. We got them a stay at the Fredonia Hotel for 2 nights comped. So we are very thankful to the hotel for that, and Joanna's expertise in finagling those kinds of deals. And then we paid them $100 cash just to cover some dining and experience expenses. And we got out of it multiple social media posts, a blog for both the hotel and a blog for Visit Nacogdoches. That content is on our Facebook page right now and also our Instagram, so go check it out. They published an article today called The 13 Best Things to Do in Nacogdoches, and I'm particularly excited about this one because they featured our parks and then our historic sites. And our parks are not usually featured by visitors. A lot of times the visitors are excited about the things that are right in your face, like the brewery and the wineries and things like that. But the fact that they went to Maroney Park and Pioneer Park and showcased our beautiful parks and our historic sites was really cool. And also it was nice to just see it from a family's perspective rather than, a cute girl on Instagram. I mean, those are great too, but families are big for us. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the presentation that Sherry mentioned that Joanna and I were on today. It was for a company called Bandwango, and what they do is they create, the best way to explain it is itineraries, but you can also call it tours, but they facilitate this through a website-based app. So the customer would not have to download an app for that. And you can create all sorts of things like taco trails, or we could do this with our wine whiskey brew tour, all kinds of ideas like that. But we are particularly looking at this to split with Lufkin because of the initiative from both of our city managers and our mayors. They really want us to kind of collaborate. And so visitors, when they come to our area, they don't look at just Nacogdoches and say Lufkin's too far. To them, it's kind of like going to Houston. It's one side of Houston versus the other side of Houston. And so we want to collaborate with Lufkin, and they want to collaborate with us on these kinds of trails and itineraries. So we can say go to the Fredonia Brewery, but also go to the Angelina Brewery, and then the new one that they have coming up, So I'll go more into that later. Right now, it's just in the exploratory phases. We still need to present this idea to Lufkin, although we have a feeling that they'll be on board. But I'm happy to answer any questions about that. I know that my overview was very short and kind of scattered, but that's because we just got off that call a little while ago. So with that, does anyone have any questions for me? Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Mike.
Good afternoon. We had an active December here in the Visitor Center. As you can expect, a lot of families traveling through, and I counted about 750 visitors for December. So it went really well. Our place was decorated beautifully downtown, already looked good. A lot of compliments, and of course starts off with the Christmas parade, all the activities that go on in December. That's about it.
Mike, didn't you say that last year we had over 8,000 visitors?
Yes, we had over 8,000 visitors last year, which is hard to believe, but really, that's a conservative estimate, actually, but came through our doors.
So that's just people walking into the visitors center. So I just thought that was really cool.
And I do have some, it's not even a full report, but just save the date. On February the 23rd, I'll be speaking to the Wednesday Rotary Group. The topic is the importance of story keeping, and I'm going to utilize that. That's going to be our launch of volunteer ambassador recruitment. We are going to be calling our ambassadors story keepers. So they'll be visit Nacogdoches story keepers, and they'll be going through training as well. But that will be, before we were going to change from volunteers to ambassadors. And I had a brilliant shower moment where I thought, wait, they could be story keepers. And I designed a t-shirt in my head. So that's what we're going to do. That's how things happen. That's how decisions are made. But if you have time, please come as my guest to the Wednesday Rotary at noon to hear the presentation. We're going to be taking some merchandise over that way to do some remote sales, set up a photo opportunity, and just, go through some of our, just a basic overview of how we're funded, what we do, et cetera, but also hit on some of our lesser told stories and the importance of keeping those alive. So February 23rd.
Awesome. And February 23rd is also the date of our next board meeting, is it not? Is that right?
The third Wednesday?
Third Wednesday, yes. So we'll get lots of CVB that day if we go to Rotary with you. That'd be great. All right. I'm sorry. I've been having AV issues. That's why you see me on here twice. But that's the way it goes. So that's okay. Any other questions before I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Shay, the 23rd is the fourth Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. I looked at it incorrectly. Okay. So it'd be the Wednesday prior to that.
The 16th.
The 16th. You can spend 2 days in February with the CVB. It's awesome.
Yay.
Do I have a motion? Anything else before we adjourn? All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn, or do I need a motion to adjourn?
You do need a motion.
I'll
I
move that
thought
motion
so.
to adjourn.
Okay. Second.
I'll second.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. All right. All in favor? I'm sure we are. So thank you for a great meeting, and we're adjourned.
Thanks,
Y'all
y'all.
have a great day.
Thanks.